Hello there, this is Craig, and this is another mindfulness podcast. The theme for this one is emptiness, on emptiness. So, emptiness is a Buddhism word in some ways, and what it's basically implying is that there is no separate self. And let's just pause to consider this for a moment. What does this mean when we're thinking about oneness and everything being interconnected? Um, so if you consider things in life, say nature like a tree, you notice that in a tree that it needs the soil, it needs rain, and it needs wind to blow leaves off the tree, and the leaves, they decay and they go into the soil and they produce nutrients so that the tree grows the following year. The tree also needs the sun, and the tree also needs carbon dioxide, because that's kind of what it breathes, and it releases oxygen for us, which is a lovely side effect. So you see that a tree by itself needs other elements in order for it to exist. Your soil, the sky, the clouds, the rain, etc. And so you can think of yourself like this, in the fact that although you look separate, that you're in a separate body to other people, that you too are connected to everything around you. You need air to breathe. We need the rain to fall in order to get water. Our body is made up of a lot of water and other non-human elements. So in some ways, without the water, without the sky, without the clouds, without the sun, we wouldn't exist either. And going back billions of years, when the world didn't have an atmosphere, didn't have oxygen, we wouldn't have been able to survive back then. And it took billions of years for plants to create their photosynthesis to produce oxygen, to create our atmosphere, to make it possible for us to be here today. So you can start going backwards in time and you find that you cannot exist separately to anything else. And you can actually look at this in objects, in anything at all in life. So I'm recording this podcast on a mobile phone, so if I take the mobile phone as my object, for this mobile phone to exist, I needed the experience and the technology to be created in order to produce a mobile phone, needed the ability for communication devices to be installed so I can talk through microphones and go online on the internet. We need all this structure and this electronics and electricity. And electricity hadn't been discovered until relatively recently, and all the things that have adapted and we've expanded upon with our knowledge and our wisdom has created this mobile phone. So the mobile phone is not separate either. And you could look at a table and you think, well, a table needed to be crafted, it needed to have been built. If you take away the legs of a table, it's no longer a table. So you can see that a table as well is made up of wood perhaps, or metal, or whatever consistency. And there's always other elements that create that item, object, thing. And this is basically what emptiness is trying to say, is that inherently there is no separation between you and me, the table, the mobile phone, the world, the universe. Everything comes from somewhere else. So the word emptiness is basically describing that each individual is inherently empty of a separate self. We are just interconnected with everything else. I can't take my mum and dad out of me because they produced me and all their ancestors. I am a continuation of all that's come before, and my experience and my knowledge has come from all that's come before. So this is what interconnectedness or interbeing, you may hear as well, means, and that is what emptiness means. So knowing this truth can give us a freedom. It can make us suddenly realize that our ego, our sense of self, I am, this I that we talk about, is actually not really true. There is no I. I am the universe as much as I am Craig talking on this mobile phone. So this is where we get a freedom of what's called non-duality, of things being oneness, wholeness, connectedness. And then when we notice that we use separation as an excuse or as a weapon sometimes, if you think of war, for example, or someone else has something that you don't have, and so we fight for resources, or we fight for our confidence, or we look at other people and we say, oh, I'm jealous of this person, or I wish I was like them, or that is a sign of separation. That is a sign of your mind saying, I'm not good enough because I don't have those things, I don't have those qualities. But emptiness is here to kind of help you know that actually inherently inside you, in every fibre of your being, you have exactly what you need. You are the universe, you are everything. And nobody can take that away from you because it's impossible. Just as we can't take away the rain from the clouds or the sun from the sky, we're connected. And so you can start interpreting connectedness and noticing when you separate in your mind, I don't like this, I wish this was different. Anytime you have the I in your sentences or in your thoughts, your mind is creating separation, it's creating duality. So duality means two. So I don't like that. So there's me and there's that. That's two. So when you notice that you're in two in your mind, you're judging something or you're resisting something, or you're saying, I don't like this, and if that would change, then I would be happy. Emptiness is here to tell you that you can see that as an illusion. You can see that as just a mind concept. It's not based on any truth. It's just ego manifesting. And so when ego manifests, this is a sense of self, a sense of separation, and that is what creates suffering and difficulty in our lives. So opening your heart to oneness, to interconnectedness, you can see this every time you go out in nature, every time there's a synchronicity in your life, where maybe you think of something and it appears in front of you. Just as if you were to send a text to somebody and then they would turn up on your door or something at the same time. You were thinking of somebody and then here they are. And sometimes that happens. We might not have seen somebody for years and we think about them, and then maybe that day or the next day you hear from them. That's synchronicity. There's a sense of connectedness with our thoughts into the quantum field, if you like. We might not be able to see the quantum field, but everything we do, everything we react to is producing an energy that is not lost. Energy is not lost, it just transforms into other energy. Scientists will tell you this. So, when you're in non-duality, when you're feeling part of the interconnected whole, there becomes more joy in your life. There becomes higher vibrations in your life, happiness, a sense of purpose, a sense of creativity, a sense of acceptance and wonder about who you are. You're not lacking in anything. You are everything. You are exactly who you're meant to be. And we're all manifesting and we're all thinking different thoughts and we're all creating different things, but it's contributing to the energy and the existence of everything. And just like the plant billions of years ago that produced oxygen for us today, it didn't know that what it was doing was going to produce us as humans and other life, but it did what it did, and here we are. So in the same way, you don't know that what you do in life is going to affect the future. You don't know what purpose that you're creating yourself will produce a future. We don't know the future, but this trust and this level of oneness is noticing that what it is you do does affect your future, and that future will carry on long after we die. So there's a purpose, there's a legacy even of us continuing on, learning, adapting, creating mobile phones, looking at the interconnectedness of everything. It creates a purpose and a sense of being, a sense that we're not lost, that we don't have anything to find, we're not seeking anything. We're just in each moment, doing the best we can, and this is producing something new. Higher vibrations, higher joy. Some people call this the fifth dimension. You're producing kinder, more compassionate beings based on love, based on our knowledge, our wisdom of all the ages. And we need our presence to cultivate this. So basically, if you notice separation in your mind, the I don't like this, I'm putting this in a box, I'm labeling this as bad or good, there's a separation, there's a duality. If you have good, you have bad. If you have right, you have wrong. So you try and notice these things and notice how they make you feel, and come back to not what's good and bad in your mind, but what feels right in your body, in your emotions. Your emotions are part of your body, are part of the whole. Whereas the mind tends to, we put ourselves in boxes, we identify ourselves as a certain way. You might say, I'm not confident, I'm no good, I have problems with this, I don't like that. So we're putting ourselves in boxes. This is where our suffering is. It's against the nature of the universe. So notice when you put things in boxes, and when you notice, you can smile, you can come back to yourself, take a breath, practice your mindfulness, and you come back to being. And when you're in being, when you're in awareness, when you're meditating, and you're not thinking about the I, you're not thinking about separation, you are part of the whole, and that flow reintegrates you to what is, and you find that the vibration of what is, the joy, the kindness, the benevolence, this innermost essence of who we are comes up, and it's very healing and it's very powerful, and it just gives us a completely different perspective on life. Even death is then, is death really the end? Because although the body dies, Just like leaves going into the soil, we too will go into the soil, or will transform into some different energy, and it's still here contributing to everything, to the great oneness. So even death isn't the end. You could speculate on this. So it's quite useful, this emptiness, this concept of not separate is a powerful tool that can help us when somebody dies or when there's grief, because people are still here. There's a continuation in some way. There's an essence in something, just as the rain changes the soil, just as the sun grows the tree, that tree has sunlight within it. So I encourage you to explore the concept of no self, of non-duality. There are many videos about non-duality, and see how you get on. And hopefully this has been a useful podcast just to give you an insight into what emptiness means. You may hear the term. It doesn't mean you're empty of anything. It just means you're not separate. There is no self. And once we realize this, joy can come. So thank you for listening, and I will speak to you again in my next podcast. Bye just now.